All right, well, thank you for your patience, everyone. It's 6:10 and I'll call the organizational meeting for the Canandaigua Town Board to order. We'll begin with a pledge of allegiance and I'll lead it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chris, can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember John Casey,
Present.
Councilmember Terrence Fennelly,
Present.
Councilmember Adeline Rudolph. Here. Councilmember David Sauter,
Present.
Supervisor Jared Simpson.
Present. Can you also confirm the meeting was properly advertised?
Yes, it was.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We do not have any written communications so far to be circulated at this point. This takes us to the first privilege of the floor. Is anyone who would like to be heard at this time? All right, seeing no hands, we'll continue with priority business. We have some very important priority business. We have birthdays for this month. We have John Casey, Chuck Euler, Justin Damon, and Ryan Wilkes. So happy birthday to all of you. Happy birthday, John. Thank you. We will not sing. So we have some people who could sing, but we will not do that. All right, for town supervisor appointments, number one, Leif Hergesell will be appointed as the town historian for a term expiring December 31st, 2024. Jared Simpson will be appointed as a budget officer for a term expiring December 31st, 2024. And Adeline Rudolph will be appointed as the deputy town supervisor for a term expiring December 31st, 2024. Town clerk appointments. Have Mrs. Heather Cross as the deputy town clerk and deputy registrar of vital statistics, and Mr. Samuel Moore as the second deputy town clerk. For the highway superintendent, Mr. Chris Litz is designated as the deputy highway superintendent, also for a term expiring December 31st, 2024. All right. Okay. So we do not have any new public hearings. We are there. The German Brothers public hearing is continuing to be continued. There is some discussion whether we are continuing it tonight or moving it on. I would like to, seeing that there is nobody here to discuss German Brothers at this point. And I know that our attorney has been in contact with them as we negotiate through the process. So I would like to continue the public hearing to the February 12th board meeting.
Can I recommend that we do the 31st?
Why don't we continue it to the 31st?
I told them, that's what I told them, and I was mistaken, I apologize.
No, that works. Okay, so we'll continue it to the board meeting on the 31st. All right, thank you for that, and thank you for the clarification. Okay. Reports of town officials and department heads. Okay, so let's go with town board committees, finance.
Yeah, our last finance committee meeting, we discussed the fee schedule. And I'd like to thank Mike Murphy, who did a lot of hard work redoing a large portion of the fee schedule for us. We also removed the $1 walk-in fee for Onondaga visitors. While we upped the fees overall for various structure rentals, we did also give residents a 30% off discount on all park reservations.
All right, thank you for the work on that. And we will be discussing that probably further tonight, but thank you to that. Thank you to Mike. Thank you to Lindsay and Parks and Jess and Finance. And that was a big effort for everybody to go through and try to streamline the process. Thank you so much for that. All right, Terry, Planning and Public Works.
We haven't had a meeting since our last town board meeting. We have one scheduled for this Friday.
Okay. Can you predict what's going to be said?
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. Perfect. There will stuff that will be said.
Money will
I
be
can
asked
read
to
the
be
agenda,
spent.
but
All right, ordinance, John.
we have started a conversation on minimum house size. And today we brought in guest Brian Davis from the county and also Tom Harvey, the county planner, to kind of tell us what they learned by their study and report on housing. And it was very informative. And I believe our whole committee thought it would be beneficial if we had a town meeting where all of our committees and all of our boards could attend to learn what that report had to offer in terms of potential impacts to Canandaigua. We're going to continue the conversation at next month's meeting as well.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, economic development.
No report.
All right, I do see Chuck. Chuck, do you have any updates from the planning board for us? I'll take that. Did you unmute him? Okay,
Double did it.
try it again. Oh,
Yeah, it keeps going.
it keeps going back. We're having glitches to be able to unmute you, Chuck. So you can type in there if you have anything or let us know. It's unmuting you and then it's going back. Okay, all right, thumbs, I'll take the thumbs up as we're good to go.
The planning board is working on revising its rules of procedure, just to stay current. And is working with town staff and MRP group to streamline the process, make it easier on board staff and applicants. I think they're doing a good job at it, and this meeting's for it.
Excellent. All right, thank you, Mr. Nadler. Before we move on, and I did skip over, Jim, do you have any update report wise? Okay. Town clerk, Ms. Lasky, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, I did want to share, I included this in the agenda, the draft document that it says for town board consideration regarding the citizens committee. And as we go through, and this might push back some of our committee organizations for tonight and and we'll move them back to the end of the month. But I just wanted some input. This is shared information from the meetings that I had that several board members, I know that Councilmember Sauter was on those meetings as well. There are a couple changes proposed to what we now refer to as the CIC, Citizens Implementation Committee. This is reports of officials and department heads. It's under attachment 2. It's after the charts and graphs for overtime. And I'll give it a second for people to get into that spot. So some of the proposals that were presented was a new name for the committee to try to kind of give it a fresh start, which would be the Community Advisory Panel. And that was agreed upon by the group and the citizens who are sitting on that, with a mission statement of a panel of engaged citizens that promotes the town of Canandaigua through effective communication, citizen education, and advises the town board on future growth and development. Item number 2. First of all, any questions on that? Item number 2, voting members in terms of service. Number of voting members was decided to be between 5 and 7. Additionally, there'd be a town board member and a staff liaison. Staggered terms. So there would be members appointed to a 2-year term and a 1-year term. And then thereafter, they would be 2-year terms, and with a goal of 1 youth member on the committee as well.
Is these member intended to be voting?
Yes.
I do want to go back to one if you don't mind. Regarding the mission statement. It promotes what about Canandaigua?
That promotes the town.
Just,
They wanted to,
publicly, just, I'm not quite certain what that means.
And the part of the discussion that came through and the way it was winnowed down to this was promoting the town for telling our story, promoting our successes, promoting our special events, promoting our growth, our achievements.
Through public relations, it looks like.
Through communication, through education, and as an advisory body to the town, yes.
Okay, I guess it's all
Yeah.
public relations.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I.
Okay, yep. The chair will be nominated by the committee and approved by the town board and will serve a one-year term. Any questions on committee membership? I think we do need, I mean, if we want to narrow it down to choose either 5 or 7.
How many are currently interested or on that group?
On the group, there is currently 1 holdover from the CIC.
So we don't have like 7 people.
We do not
clamoring at
have,
this
no,
point.
there are not more than that number of 7.
Problem with 5 then.
Okay,
I just wouldn't want to turn someone away who's interested in doing it. So
Will this be something that we prepare a charter for or a resolution?
it would be in the, if you look at item number, agenda item 14, it would be a town board appointment. Similar to other boards and committees, special events committee, it's on an annual basis that they're appointed. This one, they would be appointed
2-year term.
2-year term or one, yeah, on that 2-year term, but it would be re-upped every year as we would re-up the charter of that
So this would
that
be kind of
committee.
like the Parks Committee kind of. That type of,
Without a charter,
okay,
it wouldn't have, we don't need to go as far as making a charter, and that wasn't discussed, but
okay.
it would give them a little bit longer, because one of the concerns was time and turnover and ability to be involved. I mean, if,
So like the cemetery committee then.
yeah, if the board's more comfortable with 1-year terms for everybody, I think that's part of the discussion, and that's why we're kind of hashing it out with this right now. Is there any preference with 1 year versus 2? If it's 1-year terms, it would be more in line with the special events committee. And it would keep it separate from the Parks Committee, which is established by town law. So they wouldn't blend. You
2-year
wouldn't-
term would be nice for continuity is the only thing of keeping some of those folks around.
Does anybody have any druthers, one way or the other?
I think it would be good.
Okay, and that was the opinion of the board to have it longer of the group that met to discuss this. Okay,
Which says number of voting members, 5 to 7. Additionally, one town board, one staff, town board member and staff member would not be voting.
non-voting. Yes,
So it'd be 7 to 9 people. I mean, if you stick with just 5 to 7, so
and that's a decent number.
with one youth member, so
Mhm,
4 to 8.
Yeah.
9 youth members.
right,
Mhm.
and I think that's a decent number. That's a decent number range to go for. The charge that the group came up with was to promote the town of Canandaigua and tell our story through improved frequent communication by providing dynamic media content that supports local events and promotes community engagement. Number 2, promote the uptown area as an economic development hub of the town of Canandaigua by advising the uptown bid regarding streetlight installation and possible amenities. Advising the bid on the beautification of the 332 corridor with plantings and greenery and working with state agencies for needed approval. Advising the town board in the bid regarding the implementation of the uptown study, 2019-2021, and advising the uptown bid regarding signage in the uptown area.
This seems to be kind of all bid oriented.
Well, and that was the discussion that came at this meeting was the focus of that second point. They did want to focus on that uptown area. We could change that to advise the town board rather than bid. But the first 2 bullets, I think the decision came down to advising the bid because those are 2 decisions that the bid would make because it was spending money.
They wouldn't have the ability to spend money.
They cannot, no, they would just say, hey, here's what we found, we think this might be nice. And it's an advisory to do some of that research.
Could one of the members of this committee be from bid?
That would be a good idea,
You know,
some continuity there. Mhm.
crossover.
I mean, and that could be, I mean, technically, the town board member would be a member of the bid. But not the
Board
bid,
member.
But not a
But not
not, but
the
a not
bid.
voting member.
but not the bid
Yeah,
board.
town board member would be a member
Yeah.
of the board of directors. of the board.
Yep.
That's so.
So we could, that's a good idea to add with the members of the bid. So have somebody recruit somebody's membership from the bid district.
Which we had talked about
Yeah.
for the bid board anyway.
Yeah.
I did have a question about it, though, than sort of a general comment. In the past, the CIC was kind of checking on the implementation of the comp plan.
Mhm.
Is your intent with this to, it doesn't really seem to be too much in the description here. Was the intent with that then that the town board with our extra meetings a month would be paying attention to the comp plan or, I mean, I did think it was nice to have somebody
Right.
focused on where we're implementing the comp plan.
And that was part of the discussion with the group. And Dave, jump in here too, if there's anything that I'm missing. But I think that was the CIC turned more to focusing a lot on the comp plan. And the various entities of the comp plan were reporting to the CIC and not back to the town board.
Yeah.
It was never making that next step.
Yep.
So that is part of us through our discussion, why the CIC, why the comp plan was not specifically as, and there was discussion on that, but why the comp plan was not specifically part of the focus.
Mhm.
Was to have, just, so they're not the go-between, that it comes right to that. Now, we have those meetings before any discussion of a second town board meeting to have those bid meetings and those, in the review of the comp plan and have that opportunity for us to directly review those. So that's that's an unintended consequence of that. It was
Yeah,
not
I
part of
just-
it was not part of the overall
Thought
strategic
process, yeah.
plan. It just kind of worked out that way.
I just don't want to lose track
Right,
of the goals
right.
laid out in the comp plan.
It's probably not a bad idea to have them have the implement, whatever we're calling them, community advisory panel. Have some involvement with the comp plan, just because I think you're right. I think if somebody's looking after it, I mean, these are ideas that they came up with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could certainly interject what we think would be useful as well.
I mean, that's something as well that our new staff are replacing manager Finch could also be tasked with is
Mhm.
confirming, that we're meeting comp plan goals
Yep.
as well. So. Anyway. just-
And that could be number 3. It could fit in there. We could make a reference to the comp plan in number 3. Where we have guest speakers, public education, current events, development topics, and
Comp
comp plan
check-ins or something.
updates.
Yeah.
I would recommend that you add, and such other items as the town board may assign.
Okay. Such a lawyer statement. I like
It
it.
is very-
I like it.
You get to assign stuff.
Very well. Very good.
And
Very
so
well
this would
done.
be a special committee of the town board,
This would, yes,
and we're creating.
yes.
Okay.
So this would necessitate, so the CIC would be retired and this committee would take its place. So we will not be without a citizens committee for citizens to give input and for citizens to be part of the process. So, and it came from, as we all know, months of discussion and ways to kind of re-energize and refocus groups and committees. All right, so I will clean that up and I will bring that back to the next meeting. I'll bring that back for town board for board approval with a resolution to create that committee.
And I guess, let's all, if we could have consensus that it's a special committee under the rules of procedure as opposed to a permanent or a standing committee, that will help Jared. craft the
Yep.
resolution.
So that would be similar to our cemetery committee, our tree team, our, okay, yep.
So we're all.
All right, thank you. Okay. Back here. All right, that takes us to our resolutions and motions. All right, resolution 2024-001, town board meeting schedule.
Someone,
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
December 23rd meeting,
Mhm.
any thought maybe we should switch that to the 16th or the 30th?
So moved. Oh,
Sixth town board member speaks.
23rd,
It's, Christmas is on a Wednesday.
and people may be
And
traveling.
I have a feeling our staff might be traveling too that week, but
Okay,
I mean, it could be, I don't know, what does everybody think? Because we've got the other one on the 9th. So we could have it on the 16th or the 30th if we wanted to, but they're both Mondays,
mhm.
Or we could have one.
that too. But
The 30th is people travel.
People travel for New
exactly,
Year's.
that's why I was thinking 16th, but I just feel like the 23rd is gonna be tough, it's the
Mhm.
Monday before Wednesday.
I mean, we could look to wrap up our reports back. We'd have to adjust some of the topics, but those can be adjusted. If the consensus is a Christmas present to have one meeting in December. I think there's a motion on the table. I think Terry are you proposing you proposing a change for December to go to one meeting?
Wearing my red and white suit.
Okay, so let's change December to one meeting.
Santa
make it
Rudolph
December
are
6th.
moving to-
December 16th.
Okay,
You comfortable with that?
yeah.
Everybody
16th
comfortable with
is
that?
in the
December
middle.
16th.
Which will encompass the regular town board meeting
And the special meeting. Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Right.
So that's opposed to that one?
Yep.
All right. So that,
After the meeting on the 16th.
so you just voted
Good night.
against your one meeting on the 16th?
procedural purposes. Terry, was your motion to amend? We have it be formal, we're not
Yep.
unanimous. On 001, you made a motion to amend the resolution to change December meeting to one regular and special meeting on December 16th. And Adeline seconded that.
Sure.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to amend the December meeting schedule?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay. And then, so let's go back to that. All in favor of the resolution as amended?
Can I ask you a question? Will these,
Mm-hmm.
these first meeting, whatever you call them, special, I don't, first meeting suggested topics. Are these going to be altered, or, I mean, is this the schedule that we would follow, or just exactly what form will they take?
So,
Not clear.
first of all, to add to the schedule, for number 2, under be it resolved. The town board under the town supervisor may change the topics put forth in the following schedule, so we can change the meeting schedule. The format will be more of a workshop, like we had talked about. Workshop and presentations. One of the concerns was that the CIC was not, we were supposed to have been getting presentations back from some of their other special committees. This will give an opportunity, and the way the calendar is set forth, for them to report back a couple times a year to the town board with their actions and their activities, rather than taking a second adding to the meetings, but this would be a more of a special presentation and workshop.
So there will be no fixed agenda, it's going to vary month to month.
Correct.
But also, what will we have ahead of time? To prepare ourselves with any questions or, you know, will the presentation be something be given to us, you know, like the regular agenda here?
Yeah, I mean, that the presentations will be as detailed or as light as the committee presents it. Some committees are more detailed and some committees are less. It'll give a chance for them to say what they've accomplished and what their goals are and us to ask questions on it. As far as the bid meeting and the capital plan, the bid meetings will be fairly short because there's not a lot of bid business to discuss. The main thing we have to come up with and accomplish is the lighting and the streetscapes in that area. And then the others, capital plan, strategic plan, those agendas will be put out as far as the, for example, the capital plan, the items that we talked about. We need to narrow them down, choose what we're going to go after and try to do. And then other meetings move forward with funding and looking for ways for funding on those, for example.
I'd just like to have, you know, some idea ahead of time.
Mhm.
When will we be told that, you know, next month meeting will be regarding capital plan or?
It would follow, right, it would follow a similar procedure to the regular board meeting, so that Wednesday before,
We have some,
you would have something for that. The main difference is committees, departments, elected officials will not give reports. We won't have bills to pay. We shouldn't have any resolutions unless there's an emergency resolution that needs to come through. All
I
right,
was gonna recommend that you, at the next meeting, when you approve your rules of procedure, that we have, or have a discussion at some point between now and the next meeting on the process, so you can include that in your rules of procedure. Maybe you want the exact same process as you got regular meetings. The rules of procedure right now have the actual agenda of a town board meeting.
right,
We're gonna have to add an exhibit B for a
right,
town board
and that can
first
include,
meeting. And maybe put parameters as to what kind of resolutions you will or will not consider. Sureties might be something to consider.
Right.
Is there timely, there be required timeliness sometimes?
yeah, this doesn't indicate any resolutions or bill paying or anything like that.
Yeah, you can do that through your rules of procedure.
That hasn't been an issue in the past. So I want to make my position clear on this, that I'm not opposed to the time commitment. I recognize that the town needs some workshops and needs some venue to be able to do that. And I'm all for that. And I'm committed for whatever time it takes. My issue is twofold. One, we have a lot of community members that like to participate in our monthly meetings. And this is probably one of the latest attended meetings I can recall in quite some time, but we have a lot of community members that want to participate in the goings on and the operations of the town. I respect that and I like people's feedback and input. And I think to ask the community to come to 2 meetings a month, potentially participate in 2 meetings a month is a lot. And I think the same thing for the board. I mean, again, I don't mind the commitment. I'll stay from sun up till sunset if I have to, but to do it on 2 separate evenings, I think is a little bit restrictive. That's my feedback.
all right, thanks for the input.
But I mean, we had some months last year where we had 5 meetings a month as a town board. So, I mean, my hope is that this would reduce emergency meetings and allow us to have more time working on what we need to be doing as opposed to trying to put out fires with emergency
In
meetings.
2023, you recall a month where we got 5 meetings?
September,
I think it's also a nice idea to
It's
be
in the
able to hear
agenda.
from some of the other committees that are out there, like history, tree, cemetery, to have them come in and do a formal presentation, because they put a lot of time into what they do. And I don't think we as a board recognize them enough to do that. And for them to come in and give a formal presentation It gives us the opportunity to say thank you for all your hard work for the last year. So I like the idea of having them come in.
Well, it gives an opportunity for back and forth, which is what I think we were looking for at the beginning of last year, when we
Right.
were asking for a schedule for that.
Right.
Because, I mean, even when you read the reports in the monthly agenda, it's different if you can have a back and
Right.
forth with those citizens and. really
Well,
get
and some of those
understanding.
wouldn't change about having a report, it was just that they would have a formal presentation that they would
Exactly.
come in and do so that we could, recognize all their hard efforts throughout the year.
So just in response, I agree with that completely. I think that our committees do a lot of hard work. And the committees have, for the last year, supposed to have been coming in and doing reports, telling us what they're doing. It's our mistake that we have not required them to do such for the past 12 months that I've been on the board.
That's true. I mean, you could always do it at a regular town board meeting, I suppose. 15 minutes to listen to one of the committees. I just, not opposed to it. It just doesn't seem to be fleshed out enough for me to understand, we have a few standing committees, but this is every month for the whole year, right? The bid meetings, I mean, like you said, Jared, they're not gonna be very lengthy. Not a whole lot to talk about yet, because it's in its infancy right now, so. I don't know.
And that gives us the chance to discuss, the flexibility to discuss the capital plan, which we're going to need a lot of time to discuss, because that has fallen by the wayside for way too long.
Will this put any added burden on staff, for preparation and all that kind of stuff that is different from a regular town
Right,
board?
it shouldn't, and I spoke with staff, and I spoke with Lindsay, I spoke with finance, I spoke with planning. I spoke with everybody about this, asking for the best. Number one, if going from the 3rd to the 4th would make a difference. And Jess actually said that going from the 3rd to the 4th would be better than going and having a meeting, say on the 1st Monday, because sometimes things can get confusing. So taking into account what staff said, that's how we prepped the schedule. And I made sure that everybody was aware that there were no special reports. There was no extra work involved
For the first. meeting.
for the first meeting of the month.
We also, in this attachment too, there were only 3 months last year where we only had one meeting. Just in June, August, and December. Every other month we had 2, 3, 4, or 5 meetings. So,
Well, this doesn't mean we won't. I mean, it's-
What's that?
I mean,
Well,
this
it's
doing this
hopefully
doesn't mean we won't.
Hopefully.
It won't, but hopefully something that might come up will allow us to, we have it's already on the calendar.
And that's what I like, if we know it's coming and that meeting is there, you can schedule your own private life. So
Exactly.
to around that a little bit, we had enough trouble trying to come up with a couple dates for meetings last year, so if they're on the books, then we're all kind of making a commitment to that time frame.
I know that Farmington and Victor have a couple of meetings a month, not every month, but many months they do. But they have scheduled times, like 6 to 7:30. Our regular town board meeting. Can be 45 minutes or it could be
Right.
4 hours and 45 minutes.
Mhm.
These other meetings, could they be targeted to?
Do you want me to bring that back with an
Well,
hour
I
and a
just
half time?
want- I'm just bringing it
I
up.
think
No,
that's a
that's a
good
good
idea,
idea.
that this is an hour that we're gonna commit to that, or whatever it is, and unless there were special circumstances that came up where we had to do resolutions or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know
That's an
that I can
excellent
say
point.
today that they'd be an hour, but.
Yeah,
Sometime,
Some point.
Put
but
in the
to
rules of procedure that.
put a time frame on it
unless
though.
it's a 90-minute
authorized by
meeting or something.
Right.
Vote, it's an hour and a half, whatever.
6 to 7:30 PM.
I think that's a great point.
That's an excellent
At
point.
which point Terry is gonna walk out.
Thank you for bringing that up.
And I would point out there is a blank up above the schedule here.
Where?
It says January 31st, time TBD.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing us back. Thanks for
Your-
bringing us
your
back to that.
motion That you were making is also to make that's it,
So is everybody clear with 6 PM
On the 31st.
on the 31st?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. That's
31st
what I had
of
assumed.
January.
January. It's 1B in the resolution.
Any further discussion?
We need to vote next,
Yeah.
as amended.
We just need to vote. So we had our discussion. We just need to vote on it as amended. We voted on the amendment, which passed to strike that second meeting of December. The others would be included in the rules of procedure, are not necessary to be part of this. So all in favor of resolution number 1 is amended?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Alright, so that
Let's
is
give it a shot.
4-1. And again,
This is limiting the time, right?
the other thing with this is there's flexibility to change it. And just because it's on here doesn't mean it's set in stone. I know Lindsay and I talked about that a lot, that we have the flexibility.
I'll say Victor has on their website, 2 town board meetings a month, except for
Yeah.
June, July, August, at which point a quorum will be present to do bills,
Mhm.
which, I mean, just shows that
Right.
there's flexibility,
Right.
opportunities.
Definitely.
Always cancel.
Mhm. It's easier to cancel them than to fill them in. All right, resolution number 2, designation of 2024 holidays.
I moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
The only thing that will change for the 19th is the union agreement we use now is a full holiday,
Okay,
so we will be open.
all right.
Juneteenth or something. Question, is there a reason why we don't have the 24th as a holiday? December 24th?
As per our handbook, it is not considered a closed holiday.
Question is, what we do,
Yeah.
just-
I mean-
A lot of people saying that
We could,
So our employees do get credited, our full-time employees get credited floating holidays to use. If they would like to use that as one of their floating holidays, they can choose to do that. But as of right now, no, the town hall is not closed on December 24th.
But the floating holiday, they get one, or two,
They get 3.
three. That would cover it.
do you see any,
The highway union agreement, they get 80 hours of floating
Okay.
holiday.
do either of you two see a need to adjust that?
I do not.
That is-
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Flexibility.
all right, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Resolution number 3, designation of the office depository.
Nope.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Designation of official newspaper and radio station.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carries. Resolution number 5, payment of the bills following the town board audit.
So moved?
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes. Is it a permanent appointment or an interim appointment until the town manager is?
Well, if you look at this, I don't even know that this one changed.
Did
It's the
it
same.
not? That's my question.
Yeah,
This is,
It's the or, this is an or one.
I
Any
don't,
of these
I
people.
don't believe, John, that this one changed from
so
last year.
it's always like this.
Yep.
Okay, that's my question.
I think
Okay,
it also complies with other town policies that authorize the supervisor to take those.
I'm good.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Resolution number 6, payment of bills prior to the audit.
Nope.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, same question. This is not a change, right? This is just how it's always been.
I believe so, but Jared.
It's also another or.
When we look.
It's an or one. You can look.
Yeah.
Both still include the town manager in them, so.
I think this is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is too.
I think it's the same. But Yeah.
1-9,
so pull up January. You're pulling up January of 23. And it should be resolution 6.
payment of bills prior to audit, As allowed by town law 118, subparagraph 2, the town Canandaigua Town Board hereby authorizes the town supervisor, town manager, and town clerk to make payments of all bills without prior audit. Appears to be the same.
Thank you.
As last January.
Okay, so you okay with that?
Yep.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Resolution 7, establishment of petty cash accounts.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Bid purchase, resolution number 8, 2024 bid purchases.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Can we maybe block 9 through 13 or 9 through 12 at least?
We can go 9 through 10. Resolution number 11 is pulled.
Oh.
Because that, for some reason, it showed up in last month's, where typically it shows up in January.
Yep.
So, it was included in last month's. So would you like to block 9, 10?
Not if the conversation takes longer
I know.
than just
You
voting on
like
it.
You like, so you're making a motion to block 9, 10, 12, and 13?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so all in favor of 9, 10, 12, and 13 as a block?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Latest.
We need to make a motion.
Yeah. First, we voted to block them.
Yes.
Now we,
So I need a motion. Can I get a motion to approve these as a block, 9, 10, 12, 13?
to move them as a block.
Correct.
Aye.
So we have a first, Terry, do we have a second?
That was me.
Adeline, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Going forward, that can be done at the chair's discretion, so we should identify the number.
Okay,
Do I have a motion to block, to approve the following motions as a block?
okay.
Sorry.
No,
You're
go
gonna do quicker.
back.
You're gonna make
All right.
it slower.
So considering the discussion, I'm gonna lay over, I'd like to lay over resolution number 14. The assumption that things will,
Wait a minute. We haven't voted on approving the block yet, have we?
we did.
No, we did. That was the second.
And who, can you give me the,
Terry
Terry and me.
and then Adeline.
Adeline.
And then we didn't have discussion on it.
You offered for this.
I did not offer for
We
discussion.
did not offer for discussion.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I do have some comment.
So we will go back on the vote. So go ahead, Jim.
And my comment is not that I'm opposed to these. My comment is that it seems to me to almost be a little bit inequitable in that Mercy Flight Emergency Service and Canandaigua Emergency Squad are only getting $4,000 and $5,000 respectively. But yet we're giving $10,000 to the Historical Society. It just seems out of equilibrium to me. That's the only comment I have. Not that I
Okay.
don't think that people should deserve some help from our community. I just think that maybe it's
So I was
a little
looking,
inequitable.
I was looking back at these to see where we were as well. And in years prior, it was that same amount. So that could be something to look at with those organizations and see.
I would like to.
Would you like to see if we specifically pertaining to number 9 and 10?
Yes.
I'd like to look at 11 too. I know the city gives Ontario County Historical Society more money than we do.
But frankly, my recollection is it's been 4, 5, and 10
For a long time.
for a long time, and I'm sure just
It
carries over
it rolls
on the
over,
spreadsheet and
Right.
budget. And
it rolls over and it's not adjusted for inflation, for increased costs, for increased coverage, for increased population. Okay,
And I gotta say, from personal experience, unfortunately, both the emergency service providers do a wonderful job and we should take a look at that. That's my only comment.
so would you be in favor of, and I don't think that we need to do a revote on that because we already,
No,
with that.
that's a comment. That's very-
Would you be
I'm comfortable with that.
would you be interested, and depending on where we are at the end of the year, looking at increasing that for 2024?
Why don't we have our budget officer approach the agencies as part of the budget process and ask them, you know, what they're looking for,
Mhm.
what would be helpful for them from the
See
town.
what-
They would say more.
Yes,
Oh, they're
I
not
think they
gonna
would
say
more too,
less.
but, I mean,
But I can have a conversation and see where similar municipalities of our size are, because I know we're not the only ones that do this.
You
To
could
try to
always
make it,
offer supplemental contribution.
I mean,
Once we know where we are.
right, for
maybe
example,
meetings are done, all that.
the emergency squad offers CPR courses
yes,
in exchange, and I'm sure Mercy Flight, there are things that they could offer, some things that they could do, and you know, for that, so, all right.
Well, they do bill you too.
They built, no, I know, they do build, yeah, right,
A lot of contribution even.
but that is a good point, thank you for bringing that
What
up.
did we have in the budget for
This is what's
these
budgeted,
numbers?
these numbers,
So
so it would,
we're just paying the bills.
we follow the budget, but we could offer something.
we could offer something
More if our unexpended funds. balance.
depending on where we roll in
That's
at
what
the
I'm
end of the
saying.
year.
As part of
Yeah.
the budget process.
Yeah.
Just like we'd approach a department supervisor.
Okay. So, all right, we're in resolution 24, we're gonna lay that one over. 14 by 24, I meant 14.
And 11 was pulled, correct?
Right. With respect to 14, we're just,
Pull which parts of it that you need to pull.
you need all of it.
Planning board members and share people, and zoning board and share people.
All right, so I would like to lay over 1 and 2. Because there is some discussion, so 14, 1 and 2. There has been some discussion about communication and publishing of agendas for the town board committees that I would like to include in there. Some feedback that I've received. So 1 and 2 will be laid over. That'll give us a chance to approve the citizens committee. 3 and 4, we can approve that. So can I get a motion to approve resolution 14, sections 3 and 4?
So moved.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
not on 3 and 4, but on 1 and 2. We're on 1.
So so those we'll discuss next week when we come back to that. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
We don't have a meeting.
Correct, on the 31st. No.
Crystalline, that makes sense.
Did you get that, Crystalline?
Motion to approve resolution 14, sections 3 and 4.
And 14, sections 1 and 2 are laid over till the meeting on the
31st.
31st.
So we'll still operate the way we were.
We'll still operate the way we are going forward right now. All right, motion to approve resolution number 15, assignment of certain responsibilities to the town supervisor.
So moved.
Second,
All right, so. And I do have one amendment to this. I can find it. So this resolution was cut, so this resolution was rolled over from last year with changing of the supervisor, the town manager to the supervisor to help in the transition period. Jim, here's one for you. To help in the transition period. So the only changes in this resolution were changes in reference from the manager to the supervisor. Highway Superintendent Fletcher brought to my attention, and it appears that for the past few years, we've kind of been out of compliance with this resolution. You know, we in some way, you know, potentially, but the amendment that I would propose, it is in the first, now therefore be it resolved. And it's the bold in the last full sentence. It's bolded and underlined. To read, including New York State highway law. section 140-4, which refers to the ability of the elected highway superintendent, those authorities over highway employees.
All the rest of this is the same,
Yes.
Yes.
as what was in the packet.
Yeah. So can I get a motion to approve that amendment?
So moved.
Second.
The amendment.
The amendment, all in favor? To add,
Highway law
including New York State Highway Law, section 140,
To amend
paragraph
as
140-4. All in favor of that is, yeah,
presented.
all in favor is that of that amendment?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Abstain. Haven't had enough time to consider.
Okay. All right, any further discussion on this?
And the whole thing, or the motion,
For the resolution.
On the
Resolution?
resolution 15.
confusing yourself, at least me.
Can
Yeah,
have a copy of that,
there's another,
In my email.
Yeah.
Jerry, did you write that change?
I did.
Can you email it to Crystal and she just has?
right, well, regarding 2024-015 itself. There's another resolution in here, number 027, that is regarding surety. In that one, it says that you, Jared, will take over that responsibility until such time as the town manager is appointed. This one doesn't say that same thing.
Correct.
I would offer that we should amend this resolution to say that until such time as the town manager is appointed, these responsibilities would fall to you. But at that time, it would go back to the way it was, which is encoded in chapter 69.
So these assignments are not in code.
I think some of them are.
The reason that the one that you referenced had the end date was because that was referenced in town code. And by town code, that specifically names the town manager for that responsibility.
Well, personnel officer is referenced 69-5, one of the items in kind of a job description that talks about overseeing personnel. So
Well,
Do you have any opinion on that, Mr. Nadler?
I can't remember which one it was.
it's C,
C.
oversee and implement the town's personnel policies in a fair and equitable fashion in accordance with applicable laws and regulations. Appoint or suspend or remove all town appointed employees only after first receiving direction by the town board. I think that. And then D is assist the town board in identifying its, a couple other things, and then personnel needs and problems. I think those are consistent with the personnel officer, but I don't think it's required to be the personnel officer. I don't think the town is technically required to have a personnel officer. Other than as required by the county, which needs a personnel officer to sign stuff. And comply with civil, it might be required for civil service purposes. I don't think it's required by town code, and I've said that, that the town manager be the personnel officer for the supervisor. I think it's a decision, and I think I've had conversations with Doug Finch about this. That it's an annual decision that the town board has made to make the town manager personnel officer. Not prohibit or preclude a deadline or sunset provision essentially. But the appointment of a personnel officer is a case by case basis.
Well, again, I would offer an amendment that we put that clause in here, covering this whole thing until such time as the town manager is appointed. I'll make that motion.
Okay, there's a motion on the table.
I'll second the motion.
All right, did you get that, Crystal?
Until such time as a town manager is appointed. Is the motion, is the word?
Otherwise, why do we have a town manager? Because this takes virtually all the responsibilities that the town manager has and puts them in the supervisor's bailiwick. So what's the point? We do have one of the resolutions, the very last one, picking one of these three respondents to our request for a quote and looking for a town manager. So if we're going to assign all these responsibilities to the supervisor, why are we bothering with that? That's directed to you.
It's directed to me, because some of these, as we look at this, these all, the reason it didn't have a sunset on it is because some of these might be reverted back to the town manager. Some of them might stay as the town supervisor. That depends a lot on who is there, who's brought in, what type of person we have, what type of qualifications they have, any of that.
I'm reading that as a ain't gonna happen.
Mhm. Well, you can, it's not what was said. You can read that however you want.
I think I'm reading it correctly, Jared.
So,
Well, let me talk about this personnel officer role for a minute. I mean, in any management structure, manager should have the right to hire or fire whoever is on their team and should be responsible for building that team, should they not?
Yes.
Let me ask you a question, Jared.
right, at the
If later
discretion of the
on-
board.
Later on, we're gonna have a conversation about an administrative secretary. You wanna hire that person, don't you?
Mhm.
You personally wanna hire that person.
By town law gives, yes, town
New
law
York
gives
State
me the authority, New York state law gives me the authority to do that.
And why do you wanna do that? Why do you wanna
Because,
hire that person as opposed to somebody else? And I'll answer the question for you, because you wanna build your own team, right?
okay,
You
so,
wanna have your own people that
Okay,
are
John.
responsible to you and that answer to you, right?
John, you asked me to answer a question.
Okay, go
You
ahead.
didn't answer it. Number one, we have a need. Number two, this is a position that hasn't been filled for months. And there has been a need for that. So yes, we need to bring somebody in to have that in conversation with staff, and staff has approved that and understands and sees the need for that. So yes, to bring somebody in that I know that I can work with, that we can work with.
Exactly.
Yes.
And don't you think that that same philosophy holds true with the town manager? They need to have people on their team that they can work with, that they're comfortable with.
So.
It's no different than a baseball team or a football team, right?
So to go with your comment on that, yeah, we need to hire a town manager that I am comfortable working with and that we are all comfortable working with.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I would 100% agree with that point.
And then conversely, that town manager that we hire has to have the ability to hire and fire and bring people on their team that they're comfortable with, right? No different than we do.
Doesn't
I gotta
the,
stop
Yeah.
everybody right now on this issue, because I wanna make very clear, and I've made this, I thought I've been consistent on this. But the town board.
Hires and
is in
fires.
charge of hiring and firing.
yes,
And whether it's a personnel officer, whoever it is, executes
They
the
make,
town board.
they make recommendations to the town board. I
You make
understand. that.
recommendations, and then when the town board says, yeah, good. And you guys all.
The manager cannot act
We do it
until
all
the
the
town
time.
board
Execute
directs.
that. Now, in my mind, that I have no, there's no section of code, town code or New York state law that says this, but in my mind, an employee who's drunk on the job, somebody needs to be able to say, get out of here.
Yep.
And that's generally the personnel officer, but quite frankly, if I were wandering around town hall, I'd probably do it. There it is, if you are, you probably do it. Don't think that it's a personnel officer is, as appointed here, is more of a
Filling out the
administrative
form.
role than,
Administrative, be careful when you use that.
I know,
Why do you know that?
because it's the town manager is a chief administrative officer.
That's right.
Uh,
And administration and management are synonymous in the Webster Dictionary, Chris, and I point that out to you, right? So you're gonna argue with Webster, right?
I agree that that your statement.
They are synonymous. Management and administration is synonymous.
And you've got a town code that delegates certain responsibilities to a town manager, including what Terry said. Does it require the town manager to be the personnel officer? No. Does it require the town manager to execute certain responsibilities related to personnel? Yes. I don't think it matters, I don't think it changes the conversation on the sunset, but I wanna be very clear. The town manager does not pick the team, the town board does.
Well, in essence, the town manager picks the team. I don't think that this town board, at least since I've been sitting on that side of the table and on this side of the table, has ever denied a recommendation of the town manager.
Okay, that's a good point.
So in essence, we take for granted what the town manager proposes to us. No different than a few months back, I asked that there be a resume or some summary attached to the hiring and the firing of personnel so that we as a town board could help make a little bit more informed decision when we give a yay or a nay to a potential hire. So I want to go back to my original point, which is that is one of the most effective management tools that any manager has, is to be able to hire and fire and build their own team. And we experience that everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, Governor Hochul isn't the personnel manager of New York State. Chris DeBolt's not the personnel manager of Ontario County. Bob Palumbo's not the personnel manager of Canandaigua, the city of Canandaigua. I mean, do I need to keep going on? I mean, every form of government is like this. Every form of government. We want the supervisor to be the one that hires and fires and interviews and it's just ludicrous to me.
But you didn't mention Victor or Farmington.
Don't give a darn what they do. I care about other forms of government.
So not the town form?
The town form. The town form as it is right now is working absolutely fine.
Any further
Taxpayers
discussion?
have benefited from
Yes, I
that.
have one more thing to say, and that is, or question to ask. Will we proceed to hire a replacement for Doug Finch, the town manager? And will that person be able to carry out the same functions that Doug did when he was here?
I don't think we can answer that.
I don't know if we
I
don't
think
know
that-
who we're hiring yet to say who
Yeah.
has responsibility, who has the credentials to do that.
I think you three are.
Okay, exactly. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna hire this person based on
You're not gonna
credentials?
get anybody any good. All you really want is an administrator. You don't want a town manager.
And quite honestly, I mean,
Well, maybe that's part of the discussion to have further on. So we have a motion, a first and a second.
wait a minute, I'm not done sharing what I
Well,
have to say.
I'm gonna call for a vote all in favor of the
You-
resolution
Jared,
as
that's just
amended.
not fair. You just can't do that.
I don't think the amendment's been voted on.
You
but
can't do that.
Let's,
Well, let's
You
vote
can't shut
on,
down
let's,
the
I would
conversation.
recommend taking a minute, please.
let's vote on the amendment.
I'm not
You can't do
clear
that.
as to
can't
Terry's
do that.
portion of the amendment.
You can't stop conversation at your
Amendment until
desire.
such time as the town manager is appointed.
And where is that located in the resolution?
Be right up in.
I mean, let's be honest about this, Jared.
Terry,
You're
the
going
first
from becoming an
paragraph?
elected official who's responsible for managing the people that are in the bureaucracy of the town government. And we're supposed to be managing that bureaucracy as an elected board. You're going from becoming part of that elected board to becoming part of that bureaucracy. You're becoming a full-time paid employee of this town, not the elected official that's elected to represent us who are supposed to be managing those bureaucrats. And that's exactly what you're intending to do.
Mr.
You're
Nadler,
saying, I want to become part of the bureaucracy.
Were you looking something up?
I
Mr.
was
Nadler?
looking something up, my understanding is that while a question is under debate, no motion may be received except a motion to amend the question. Each board member gets a chance to speak, and then until everybody else does not get to speak, until everybody else goes or declines to speak. But there's no, I think,
No time.
Procedurally, I think, discussion should proceed.
Discussion can proceed. It can continue on. I can stand here and filibuster this thing all night long.
At some point, it goes to town attorney to make procedural.
Make a procedural decision. So is there any further discussion?
Yes.
I
Yes.
think everybody else gets to.
Have a chance
have
to
a
speak?
chance, And then it'll return to number case.
And I could make a motion to lay this over, right?
I don't think you can make a motion to lay it over, I think any motion. Can be laid over and must be voted at the next. Meeting. You just lay it over, it's supposed to make a motion. to lay it over.
Right, so I could force a layover until the next meeting.
Yes. That's correct.
And how does Jared have the ability to vote on what he can or cannot on a matter that directly impacts him?
Because it does not direct him financially as,
It did.
you know, and I've rendered my opinion and advice on that. I'm very confident in my opinion and advice on that matter. I don't think the supervisor or any of you, when voting on a budget or a budget amendment is related to compensation, engages in a conflict of interest under New York state law or Canandaigua town code. In this matter, responsibilities being assigned is not raised to the level of a conflict of interest.
And I have to say it. I have to say it. The Republican Party is the one that's opposed to bureaucracy, right? The one that's opposed to the management of our government by bureaucracy. We had Leif Hergesell stand up at the podium talking about how we were protecting ourselves against bureaucracy, but you're actually becoming part of the bureaucracy. You want to become a paid employee of the town.
We're all paid
You want to
employees of the
manage,
town.
you want to manage the day-to-day operations of the town instead of going out and sharing your vision and your goals and getting the community to buy in on your vision and your goals. You're saying, no, I'd rather go and manage the day-to-day operations of the town. And I think that is just crazy.
So
And Dave, you're sitting here talking about credentials. What credentials does Jared have to manage the operations of this town?
The voters decided that.
The voters didn't decide that. The voters decided.
They did
Dave?
decide that. They did decide that. They decided on you and they decided on me. What credentials do you have to sit on the town board?
I'll put them out there for you. Want me to start? I mean, I can start, but the point is that we were elected officials.
Right,
And
as Jared
as
was.
elected officials, we're responsible for managing the bureaucracy that is performing the day-to-day operations of this town. Now, if you transition from being an elected official to becoming one of the bureaucracy, one of the bureaucrats, how are you representing the community as your elected official?
Every 4 years, you get that opportunity.
Yeah.
Every 4 years, you get the opportunity to throw somebody out.
But you know what, Dave?
John
When
also,
these people voted on Jared 3 years ago, they didn't
John.
vote on him to be the town manager. They voted on him to be the town supervisor. And there was a definite distinction between the two at the time that we voted. Now, we're making everything gray and we're combining everything and we're making it a mishmash of, we don't even know what Jared's responsible for anymore, other than this document which says he's gonna be responsible for everything.
Well, who should be responsible right now? We're in it where there's a gap right now.
Absolutely.
There's an absolute gap right now.
And I'm saying internally, just
Yeah.
like Terry said, I'm comfortable with him filling the role internally. And then, you know what? At the end of the day, if it takes us 4 or 5 months to go and find someone, maybe in 4 or 5 months, we'll see what kind of a job he's doing, and then we can do it based on merit. Because we can't do it based on credentials. So maybe the merit in 4 or 5 months says, you know what? Maybe Jared's a better selection than XYZ candidate. But maybe not. Maybe we're gonna get XYZ candidate that has all kinds of experience doing this and can run circles around them.
And maybe we don't.
And maybe we don't, and that's why it's an
So-
interim position.
So that's why I think as the elected official, we give that responsibility to Jarrett with no time, with no end time on
Well,
it. That's what
and
I
I
said.
remember you a long time
Okay.
ago saying, we needed to have a town manager as well.
Well, I
as a
still
town
think we, I
supervisor.
still think we need a town manager.
Well, then make it an interim
Okay.
position.
What, the town manager?
No, this resolution,
Why?
because when we get a town manager,
What's he
all
gonna
those
do?
roles and responsibilities that are on this sheet have to go back to the town manager.
We can certainly do that at that time if we find a proper candidate.
Why not do it now and say it's interim?
But why do it? I mean, we have to, I mean, I believe we have to put our faith in the town supervisor because that's what that's what we have right now. We have all this other pie in the sky, like we're gonna find this perfect governor, this perfect person. We're not. We don't know any of that. We don't even know how long it's
And,
gonna
and,
take.
and when we come back down, further on down the line, when we want to take money out of our budget for the town manager and reduce the compensation, what do you think the likelihood is we're gonna go and find somebody for what the money we got left in the budget? And that's another thing you promised. You promised that we weren't gonna cost this town any additional money by doing this whole thing. You remember that conversation?
I don't
You
remember
said-
that conversation.
You said to
I mean,
me,
and first of all, you're not cross-examining me right now. So this isn't about me,
you're
okay?
the deciding vote here, Dave.
Well,
You're
I
the
am,
swing vote.
but, and I am.
And I'm asking you to do the right thing and make it an interim basis.
I don't-
And let Jared prove that one, he has the mettle to do the job. And two, if he doesn't, then it's for a fixed duration of
If
time.
this, if
So
this
we
is,
can go and
if
find
this is
somebody to
directed
fill the
at
role.
me, I have always said that I believe the responsibility of the town candidate should reside in an elected official. So if that's where it is, I
It's the
believe that.
responsibility of these five elected
Correct,
officials
absolutely,
sitting right there,
absolutely
not
correct.
that one.
Absolutely. But everything goes through the town board anyway.
Yeah, oh my God, you're right. Oh my God. There's a
I was just
political
gonna say,
hit
can we
job,
bring
right?
it, can we bring it down a little bit? And, I mean, John, if you're trying to convince people to take your position, bring the tone to a more conciliatory tone.
I can see as I'm pushing water anyways,
No,
so.
No, you're not. I mean, your point is well taken. Both of your points are well taken. I think my hesitation in wanting to do something as a temporary basis and then have everything revert back, if that's what you're looking to do here, is going back to what Dave had said as well, is that we're not sure what kind of person we're gonna be bringing in.
We wouldn't
All
bring-
these duties may not apply to that person. All these duties may not be something that, you know, what is going to fit in whatever budget we end up using. We don't know what that decision is gonna be. So I mean, from my perspective, I do think that this will be a temporary thing. I do see us bringing in someone to replace Doug Finch in some capacity. Is it all these capacities?
in
I don't
some
know.
capacity.
Agreed.
I don't think
It may not be all these
You-
capacities. That's our job to
we
figure that
have a
out.
code
So
that says what the job is.
it's not in the
Chapter
code.
69 identifies a town manager and says, we've given these responsibilities to the town manager. All I wanna see is, we lost a guy, we get another person in here that's capable of doing that job, and we give them that assignment. We have them go on with life. That's all I'm saying. I have no problem with taking these various pieces of that function and giving them to anyone on this board on an interim basis. But interim is right. When you say that we don't know that we'll get somebody good that will be able to do this, we're not gonna hire somebody that can't do this.
That's
gonna
not,
hire
what
somebody
I'm not
that
saying we
can
won't
do
get
the
somebody
job.
good. I just think that, I mean,
What's the opposition to do it on an interim basis?
Yeah.
because all of these things may not revert back to that person.
And then we make that decision
Well,
at that time,
because
not
that-
We can
now.
make that decision at any time.
Because that
Anytime.
decision's
time.
already been
This is
made.
just giving them to
Yeah, right.
supervisor in this period.
That's right, that decision's already been made outside of this conversation,
Yeah.
I understand.
I have not been spoken to about
I
this
have not been
resolution
spoken
since
to
I
about
got
this
here.
at all.
We've been talking about this forever, were you kidding me?
We spent most of last year talking about it. The fact of the matter is that there are people that do not like the position of town manager. And if we hire somebody as a town manager, it is gonna be somebody that is willing to only do a part-time job. You'll never get somebody that's really good.
And that's the other
I do
thing,
not want a part-time town manager. That's not something I would be in
That's,
agreement
you're
with.
not gonna, anybody that anyone that listens to this conversation These people that belong to the ICMA do. They have done that throughout New York State. You're not gonna get somebody of the highest caliber applying to come here, not after listening to all
Especially-
the call.
Especially after you go and tell them, look, the town supervisor is gonna take care of all these things. There's
You
nobody's
just
gonna
sit
wanna
there-
hold that position. And I've heard you
I
both
hope
say,
our
oh, let me
town
finish.
supervisor will
And I've
not
heard-
take over all of these things.
and I've
when we
heard
bring
you
another
and-
person in, so.
I've heard you and Dave both say that we're not writing this job description, or we're not setting out these roles and responsibilities for this particular supervisor. That we're doing it for the position in general, for the future of the town. You both have said that. We're writing this roles and responsibilities, not for the individual, but for the position. And I can't agree with that at
These
all.
aren't
We're doing it for the
supervisor roles and
individual.
responsibilities. This is outlining who's gonna handle this stuff right now when we have no one else to handle this stuff.
No, this
So-
is
so
saying,
it's
this
been-
is
this is-
saying
I
in
mean-
line that it's gonna be for into perpetuity until we review it and we vote on it again.
Okay, I think we have kind of a clear majority here.
I think we do.
So
I think we should vote on
I think we should do.
Okay. We need to vote on the amendment.
Hang on.
We really need to clarify.
We need to clarify what we're
We need to
voting on.
Clarify, but it also just dawned on me, and I apologize, but it just dawned on me. No, I think this is pretty important, I don't think. Let me clarify. Well, I looked something up,
Clarify what we're voting on?
yes. Terry should clarify his motion. Was
So
there a second?
can you restate your, can you just state your
Yes, John
amendment
had
for the record?
seconded
I would. let me get it. Towards the top of the page, and this is for Crystal and Jonathan too. The second whereas, where it says the town board wishes to assign specific responsibility to the town supervisor. I would just add, after that word supervisor, until such time as a town manager is appointed. Just that simple statement. And that would cover these responsibilities that are outlined under the be it further resolved list.
So did you get that? This one?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your motion. Johnny is seconding that motion?
Yes.
So a vote on the proposed amendment to resolution 15. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay?
Nay.
Okay, resolution is not included. What were you gonna say, Mr. Nadler?
No comment.
Okay. All right, so the amendment did not carry. The only amendment that carried was the change in highway law 140-4.
But did you vote on that separately? Because I thought you were putting them together.
No, we voted 4-0. John abstained.
To what?
Inclusion of highway
Highway.
law 140.
140-4, you abstained on that vote.
Mhm.
So that is, so now we are voting on resolution 15 as amended to include New York State Highway Law 140-4.
So move.
We already,
We already did that. Sorry.
So all in favor?
I,
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Okay.
Whichever.
You guys vote nay when you're voting no.
Yeah,
It's just confusing.
Literally
Yes.
ayes and nays and take off.
all right, resolution 16, designation of professional service providers.
so moved. There's me and Terry. I have something to say.
Any discussion?
Yes, Crystalline pointed out that this indicates town manager in that. I believe it's supposed to indicate town supervisor in the interim here.
Right. Slide a supplemental, right?
Mhm.
That's right.
Crystal handed that out.
Yes, Crystalline handed that.
I would recommend that that be done by motion.
So you're making a motion to amend manager to supervisor?
Supervisor. The same thing's gonna be coming up 23
Okay.
as well.
Can I, so there's a motion on the table. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of 16 as amended?
Aye.
Opposed?
No, that was to amend it.
All right, all in favor of the amendment? Aye, so the amendment passed. All in favor of 16 as amended?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed? Carries. Resolution 17, the countersigning of checks.
Move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Resolution number 18, the use of a facsimile signature.
Move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
What about conversation?
Any conversation?
Yeah. What about electronic signatures?
Is that what this is?
No, this is a facsimile, which is different than electronic.
This is just for the payment of the bills. So if you've looked at the bills, you see on the bottom, it has the facsimile signature on the approval. So when Lindsay or I or whoever approves bills, our facsimile signature is included on the bottom of that printout. So this is just approving the facsimile signature for that approval. Thank you. Okay. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Resolution 19, readoption and acknowledgement of certain town policies and procedures.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh. We need to,
Are
which,
we removing some from this list?
no, we need to move our.
Rules of procedure. Because that has to change.
Yeah, my
what you're
understanding was
going-
you sent a list out with.
There were some, but that was an initial look. Others that needed to be adjusted, and your counsel was that those things, take them up on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
If we find ourselves in a situation where we need that, rather than changing it now and changing it back again, we do it as a case-by-case if it comes up.
Okay, I agree, and you can, it's up to you whether to adopt the town board rules of procedure as is, and then consider amending them at your next meeting. You can do either. Existing rules of procedure continue until such time as they're
Does anybody have any,
superseded. So-
anybody have any preference?
Wait.
Just wait.
Is it? No, I mean, what?
You
Me do it as a, what? Prove it.
Yeah,
Approve it and then change it next time. Okay,
you can adopt, you don't have to change.
we can just adopt our rules of procedure for next time. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Resolution 20, temporary assignment of justices in the 7th Judicial District.
Move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Resolution 21, handicap parking permit issuing agent.
Move.
Second.
Moving second, and any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to see what those requirements are to issue those. Would it be possible to get those, Lindsay? I appreciate if you could forward that to me.
You have to have a doctor's note.
It's Crystal.
That's Crystal.
Yeah.
Is it Crystal in it?
Yeah,
Does
we
it?
issue them in the
Yeah,
town
town
clerk's
clerk.
office
Right.
and the residents need to bring in a doctor's note. It's like a slip that's filled out by the doctor with the reason that they're requesting a permanent or temporary.
There's a form that
Mhm.
physicians have, I got it from my wife. They fill it out, you bring it in here, it's automatic. They give you the permit. You're good for 5 years. The temporary.
So it's nothing that the town dictates as far as issuing them or not. If they come in with a,
Doctors, no, you're gonna give it to them.
it's issued, correct?
Is that state law?
I think, Terry, it's that there's a timeframe on that, because I've had them
Yeah.
before, but mine's been
Well-
a year.
5-year max.
Oh, yeah,
To renew.
correct.
The doctor
Yep.
fills out.
The duration, like I had my knee
Yeah,
replaced, they
like if
said
it's
a year,
I
right?
had a knee replacement.
Right.
3 months. or
Yeah,
6 months.
yeah.
But if it's a permanent one, they are issued for 5 years at a time and there's no reason, there's no need to get another doctor's note. They simply bring back their 5-year pass and get another 5-year pass.
So 5 years considered permanent then,
Yeah.
basically, kind of.
I had
Yeah,
it
so-
right in the room.
So when it's issued permanently, they come in and we issue them.
Permanent.
Yeah.
Right, if they're issued a permanent parking pass.
There's a
But we
bunch
can
of
only
different
issue them
boxes.
for 5 years at a time. So after 5 years is up, they come back in with that tag, no doctor's note needed, and we issue for another 5 years.
All right, thank you for that explanation. John, did that answer your questions? Yes. All right, thank you for that, Chris, one and being on top of that. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Resolution 22, appointment of the town court clerks.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
they've been great. I'm glad
They've
we're
been
keeping
awesome.
them for
Glad we have
a
'em.
long time.
Keep it going back there. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carries. Adoption of the 2024 fee schedule.
Second,
Go ahead.
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
Yeah. After I've had the chance to spend a little time on this, some of these daily rates that we are charging for some of these cabins, weekly rates that we're charging for some of these cabins seem to me to be pretty low. And I'm wondering if we, now that we have this in this kind of format, whether we want to reconsider some of these.
Are you pulling from the updated one, or is that the one in,
Yeah, but
because there was one that was sent out today?
yeah, and
I didn't get that, I didn't look at that one. What were the main?
I haven't either. so
Okay.
yeah, that, I
Maybe
mean,
we want to lay this over and.
You making a
have some
motion
more
to lay it over?
conversation.
Oh,
Can you not
There
lay
were-
your entire fee schedule over?
There's major ones that we're not.
yeah, there's really.
Okay.
important
We're
ones.
fine.
so,
We can always amend it too and change it if there's something, but I would say, John, we had a long discussion in finance about it.
Mhm.
And a couple concerns. One, you know, a lot of people rent these every year. So a large change one way or another at one point is gonna be cumbersome for a lot of people. I agree with you. There are definitely some that are quite low. It's also something the Parks Committee, I think, needs to make some recommendations on this year, as well. I don't think it's necessarily something that we should kind of be adjusting this month, next month, when it needs to be known what these, you know, what these numbers are gonna be. I think it's a long-term discussion the Parks Committee needs to have, just like we had that long discussion with the Development Office, and Mike was able to give his reasoning for the fee schedule updates, but, you know, if I'm somebody who's renting the entire, you know, Lakeside, Ononda every July 4th week, it's a heck of a hit to, you know, to adjust some of these up more
To
than we
double
already
it or
are.
something, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was the discussion, we're
That
gonna
was-
look at raising it more every year, looking at
That's
some of
what we
these,
discussed
we're
with finance,
significantly
yeah.
below everybody else.
Agreed.
There's no
But
question about that.
also keep in mind, we're about to get new cabins as
Exactly.
well, and that would be a really good time.
Yes.
Look at that again.
to Really adjust, but to everyone's point, raising them a little bit now, yes, they are below.
Right.
What you're saying, but to start out, this is a good basis.
It's a step
And then
in.
to reevaluate, I would say more for the 2025
Agreed,
fee schedule for January 1st.
because this is already going up 20%, on the numbers, so. What we generally agreed to do was everything went up 20%, and then we gave a 30% discount to residents, which made some of the numbers definitely wonky with where they were in the past, because they were not all kind of aligned in that 30% level before, but we were doing that because that's how the software works, with the town clerk's office, that they needed it to be.
It also
discount
creates
number.
consistency.
Exactly, and it is nice to have a consistency there. But there, you know, some of them, like, you know, look at Abode, it's going from 175 to 302. That's a big jump for, you know, for the town residents, so.
so John, are you comfortable moving on with this with the notation that it'll be looked at again?
Yeah.
Before you go further, can I say a couple things?
Of course.
The verbiage in the first paragraph. It says town manager, and I'm not sure if we should change that to supervisor, since we technically do not have a manager right now. And Secondly, I don't know if you want to consider making an amendment, because I noticed that it says that it's going to be effective as of today, and the dog fee schedule cannot be effective mid-month. I would never be able to reconcile it. That has to start on the first of the month.
That's an easy fix.
So you wanna have that be February first for the.
February
effective
or
date?
even March, I mean,
Just to give a month, an extra month, you know?
I can't make the dog fees effective at mid-month.
Also, this needs to be the fee schedule that was sent out today, because there were
Wait, there's a
some,
fee schedule that was sent out
Yeah.
today.
yes, there were
Um,
some numbers.
Yeah.
It was from Jessica.
I didn't get it.
So with this, since there's one that came late. There was a last minute update. Lindsay, what are some that you see? I mean, I know that we have some are there any that you see that we need to? That if we laid this over, what's gonna get
Sorry,
messed
I was
up?
just
Were you talking to her?
distracted. Lindsay.
What ones do you see that that would cause an issue if we laid this over? So everybody,
We did it at the 31st meeting for it to be effective
Is that
February.
is that okay if we move it to, will
Are your
that,
building permit fees in there?
Yes, they are.
Yes.
You can't go without, you'll have a problem if you're not charging building permits for the rest of the month of January.
Oh. No, I mean, the parks. The parks is, yes.
I would
Would you-
recommend that you adopt at least the portions of it that you're okay with.
okay,
Just amend the dog.
Well, actually, I would recommend, unless you're looking to reduce any of these prices, to adopt it as is, so that it's, because right now, rental of that cabin without a fee schedule is zero.
So I don't think that this new amendment doesn't look like it's talking about those. It looks like it's more solar line and short-term rental tables were on their own line.
that was cleaning it up.
It's more of an administrative thing, I think. I
Because
don't
there were
think there's
some
any,
duplicates.
I
I
don't-
just sent it to you.
I don't think there's any changes in fees in there.
No, they're just listed twice.
Yeah, right,
Yes,
they were
they were
just cleaning it
listed
up.
twice.
You have to adopt the 2024 fee
So
schedule.
So,
But there was the updated one from earlier in the week that was,
Oh,
rounding
I see what
error.
your point is, Dave, sorry.
so there was
yeah.
a rounding error and
It's
then there was just a
Administrative,
organizational
right.
error.
Yeah.
So,
Either one.
so I'm gonna make a motion that we adopt the 2024 fee schedule as updated and posted on the town website, effective immediately except for dogs, which will be effective February 1st.
Or is March first better? You said March first would be better. for
March
the
1st.
clerk, yeah.
Okay,
So,
get your dog tags now.
okay,
is that motion acceptable?
I'll second that, hopefully acceptable motion.
Okay,
yes,
to accept fee schedule. As outlined on the website. Effective.
Today.
One or
no,
one
sorry,
nine,
today.
118 or 19?
18,
charging 19.
Right, because tomorrow, this is, yeah,
19/24. Except for dog licenses, which will be effective
March first.
3/1/24.
3/1/24. Hope everybody with pooches is happy. Okay. So I made the motion. Adeline seconded it. Any further discussion? Afraid to ask that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, so that the fee schedule carries with those amendments. Wait, no, so that was the amendment. Now, can I get a motion to approve the fee schedule as amended?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay. I don't want to get yelled at because I know if I move down to get yelled at. By the
Are we changing the verbiage to supervisor?
No, I think that, because that has to do with who submitted it, I guess you can. That one, I don't think you need a motion for that one, but,
I think it's okay.
yeah. Oh, this is the department, yeah, why don't you leave it?
You tell me. It's-
Yeah.
As long as there are other people who can
Okay.
do that, then we're fine. Yeah.
It's just who submitted it.
As long as we have redundancies. A resolution 24 establishing the 2024 employee wage rates and payment. So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
No, no one can leave, Lindsay. They all have to stay now.
Resolution 25 authorizing finance clerk 2 to close the invasive species remediation grant capital project number 28.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. So Lindsay, just so you, and Jim, just so you know, I already got yelled at by Manchester
For what?
for our new hire.
Well, maybe if they pay their employees, at least a living wage without promise.
Wait, that's part of the discussion that we had, as everybody was comparing notes. So it was just kind of funny. Usually it's Farmington that's Sochus. Did I say that out loud? That's fine.
Perhaps.
Don't put that in.
Don't put that in the minutes.
It's all video recording, people.
Resolution number 26, authorizing finance clerk 2 to close the LGMRIF capital project number 32.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries. Resolution number 27, authorizing town supervisor to approve sureties.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, why does this one, I think this one has be it further resolved, the last one said, have this authority only until such time as the town manager is appointed who can fulfill this duty.
That was for you, wasn't it, to me? I think it was for me.
Because,
You really want that left in there?
That was
well,
for
because
you.
under advice of council by law, by specific mention in town law, it's specific, the town law specifically gives that authority to the town manager. So that is a specific reference within town law
So
to
it's
that.
only to the town manager. Out of necessity, you need somebody.
Yeah.
At which point, you know, and it.
Obviously.
You're a town manager.
Well, the town manager will have something to do.
They can definitely.
They
do
can
that.
definitely approve sureties. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Aye. Carries. Resolution 28, confidential secretary budget adjustments.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and I assume there will be some discussion on this.
This money would be coming from the town manager personal services. That comes off what we pay the town manager.
That comes off of their
So-
office. Their
No, it
office.
No, it's
comes
the
out
pay.
of the,
What's left?
it would come out of the money allocated in the 2024 budget for a town manager. Is the answer to your question.
Isn't it out of their office?
Means it
No.
Goes like this.
No.
We don't.
I mean, it's the
Yes,
same,
the budget line item would be reduced by 28,000. I'm assuming you're gonna also do that
the same thing is happening for the
with the
the
consultant.
search firm.
The town board has at its option. Essentially refund, not refund, but refund that item in the budget or any other budget out of
We're
reserve.
scrambling for money now.
And
If
if,
there's money available, it's just about solution acceptance.
and I mean, if you look at any of the firms, the minimum that they were looking at was a 4-month window. So if we're looking at that 4 or 5 month window, that would allow it to be adjusted. And that money that would have gone for those 4 or 5 months will go towards this. We'll be able
So
to
you're
fund
saying
these two.
We'd only be paying
We'd be paying
8
for half,
months of a salary for a
paying
town
8 months,
manager
7
instead of
months.
12 months.
6, whatever it might be.
Damn.
So this was put in the budget at $1. As a placeholder.
Mhm.
So now it's going to $28,000. The discussion, one of the discussions we had last summer and fall, we were going through the developing the 24 budget was that there's a need to replace Crystal's position in the town clerk's office, and that we shifted money to do that. I thought that there was going to be a kind of a sharing of responsibility. That was a discussion at one point. Exactly where that all ended up is confusing. We still have to add somebody into that town clerk's area. I would assume that that's, so what the net effect is, we're going up by 1 person beyond what we had projected for this year. So that's, we're gonna be spending more money.
Yeah, we'd be going up by a 0.5.
So yeah, what we want to do, I mean, just exactly what would the responsibilities of this person do? That's not being done today.
Right. So
So can I say something on behalf of my office?
please,
I would implore the town board to consider a full-time position in my department for solely the town clerk's office, because we are overwhelmed and cannot keep up. I don't think that this third deputy would be able to fulfill our needs if they are working for Jared.
I'm just saying that was a discussion we had
Yeah.
last fall.
I know,
I don't debate your needs at all,
Yeah.
so.
so I just wanna say that, for you, I wanna ask that you consider that while you talk about this.
so rather than the
we had-
sharing,
We
We are
had funded
going
a
up by-
full-time position for the town clerk's office last year.
So
right?
I
We'll
wanted
be going
to
up by 1 full X.
So this is a half-time position
Correct.
now.
make elected officials' responsibilities clear here. First of all, it is currently a full-time funded position in our budget. The only limitation on an appointment of the town clerk, the town supervisor that are statutory, is whether the town board is allocated money. The board has allocated money, you can appoint whoever you like.
We allocated a
Civil
lot.
service.
But do we,
No,
sure,
he's talking about the
Right.
he's
Yeah,
talking about the
sure.
clerk.
Not to the town
He's
clerk.
telling her
Oh,
she
of
can
course,
hire
yeah,
a clerk.
that's
That's your appointment.
but
so it doesn't
my
have to
point
be a
is that
shared position.
It's not.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, are you suggesting that you hire an extra person?
I was under the impression that at one point it was discussed that my third deputy would be partially working for,
As a confidential.
It was, but we funded it fully as just clerk.
okay,
But that was part of the discussion, you're correct.
okay,
So,
And that's what you need that third deputy.
yes,
yeah, so it was funded fully as 100% new clerk for you, you hire at will, so
Okay.
for that one. And then,
Gene moved on and Crystal moved up.
Yeah.
Down 1 person.
and so this is asking for an additional half-time position.
right.
Unrelated to the service.
That's not
Right,
related to the
correct.
clerk's office.
Correct.
So,
Right.
yeah.
But Terry mentioned that it was gonna be shared, so I just didn't know where that's at.
That was the initial discussion that did not go through in the budget.
I still didn't hear what the person's gonna do.
Well, as we have other discussion, which I'm sure we're gonna,
Yeah, I was just, so with this person, one particular area I was thinking this person would help with is the agenda.
Mhm.
Would this person be tasked
Pull it
with
up here.
confirming the agenda's in good shape and ready to go and keeping track of resolutions that have to be coming up.
I had it printed off.
Lindsay recommends that the person maybe should be in charge of doing Zoom.
Sure.
Yes, so-
Zoom for town board meetings,
No,
sure.
you're doing Zoom.
Knocked it out of the park.
Try our best.
I mean, I think that was something that, and there was definitely a need for it, but.
Yeah, Jake, half a month.
So if I am, so here are some of the, so maintain the calendar for town and county activities for the town supervisor. Coordinate action regarding legal and engineering matters, review submitted resolutions for completeness and accuracy. Prepare town board resolutions and proclamations, work with the clerk's office on resolution verifications. Attends town board meetings as required to run Zoom and other computer programs and assist the preparation of boardroom for the town board and other meetings. Prepares and distributes the agenda packets, prepares and maintains an orientation handbook for newly elected board members and supervisors. Compiles town board meeting PowerPoint presentations and sets up computer equipment and presentation in the town board meeting room prior to the town board meeting. Maintains up-to-date information for the town board on the Town of Canandaigua website. Maintains training records of the town board and of the town supervisor to ensure that they are meeting their training requirements. And compiles a year-end report to the town board. Assists in the budget development process and financial record keeping as needed. Assists in the preparation of legal review notices to ensure timely publication as needed. Performs other work tasks as assigned. Provides essential backup to other town departments as needed. Provides customer assistance to the residents and visitors in the town supervisor's office and in town hall. And then other, confidentiality, computer skills, Zoom skills, knowledgeable in office procedures and software used by the town of Canandaigua.
So a lot of those things are for town board,
Mhm.
keeping town board.
Yes.
track. Okay.
So, and then the intent, because, we don't have anybody, and I do not want to put that burden on Lindsay or others moving forward to fill that position for Zoom meetings, for various Zoom meetings and other things. So
So I know
we're
this
lucky
is,
to have you here tonight.
I know this is a New York State, it's New York State law that supervisors can do this, correct?
Correct.
Do we know of any other supervisors in Ontario County that have confidential secretaries?
All of them have a confidential secretary or a bookkeeper or a combination of one or the other.
Why have we not? Do you know why we haven't had that recently?
I don't know, but we've gotten along generally all right with all of them, so. We haven't had one.
Just,
Yeah, I'd have to ask. the
seems
question.
odd that most of the other towns have had one and we have not done what's recommended in the law, but.
I'd have to ask the question, we've been getting along without one for the last, since Pam Helming was here. She didn't even have one, I don't believe so. Why all of a sudden do we need one? And in addition
can
to
read the
that,
list.
I'd like to see a job description with roles and responsibilities and credentials that are required to fill the role.
I don't think that's,
Well, so it's
You don't think
appointed by
that's
the town supervisor.
it's an
The supervisor
appointment.
can appoint anybody he wants to that position immediately, but there's no money to pay that person.
So it's just like the town clerk's office.
Well, it's
And what, didn't our town manager, they appointed, didn't they have appointed staff in the town
No.
manager office?
the
No, those-
town board appointed the town manager
Okay.
staff. But it's, remarkably poignant that your town attorney said, hey, here's an example. For the town clerk when she asked about the third deputy clerk.
Mhm.
And so it's the exact same situation with the town supervisor. If there's money there, he can hire, he can appoint whoever he wants, within reasons of, obviously within the law and within certain tolerance of time. But the town board does not get to weigh in on that. The town board does get to weigh in on whether or not to fund the position. So I think the qualifications are not the town board's business, but I think the job responsibilities could be.
And those responsibilities were taken from neighboring towns and the role and jobs and responsibilities that they have them.
Jared, can I just ask a question regarding the confidential secretaries? So when a new town manager comes on board, whether it's a few months or hopefully shorter few months, what is your vision for the confidential secretary between you and the town manager
So
position?
ultimately, my vision is this will transition into somebody who works for both. And is in that role. I mean, we had Sarah in that role for so long. Did we have a confidential secretary? No. But we had a civil service administrative assistant who was doing the exact same thing that a confidential secretary would do without the title or without the appointment, because the town board took that away at the time.
And when
And so it wasn't there. So when Sarah left to go to the budget, to go to development, planning office, there was nobody put into that role that Sarah was doing. So
there were a lot of holes in.
she's frankly, I mean, it's an injustice to her position and to her training and to what we're trying to get her to do, to say, hey, are there some of these things that you can still keep doing? It's not a good use of her time. It's not a good use of her time. It's not a good use of our time. And this is, you know, and when we had discussed, Lindsay, our salary, we had what, $18 to $19 an hour,
18 and 19 hours ranging between 20 to 30
depending on the week,
what's going
and
on.
hours, you know,
So your
evenings
vision
and
is really,
daytimes,
this position is almost to have that
to
administrative.
have that person
assistant.
there ready. And then for a more seamless transition when we hire that
Increase the
person.
hours or keep the hours the same? When the town manager said.
That would be a discussion.
Case by case.
I can't answer that right now. Yeah, good question. All right, any other comments?
So then, when this person transfers from being a confidential secretary to being an alternative role, then does the board have the right to look at the credential portion of that role and consider that person, whether they're capable to fill that need or not?
Absolutely.
Well, it depends if that person stays as the town supervisors. Well, because that could be an assigned responsibility to assist the town manager with X, Y, and Z. And that would be spelled out in the employment, in the discussion, in the agreement with the person, that they would serve in whatever capacity through discussion, that the new town manager comes in and says, here are some things that I need. That could be an assigned thing, or it could go to civil service. I mean, I don't know. And it really depends on if it's a person who's working and they're doing a bang up job, then it's kind of silly to say, now you have to go through the civil service hoops and we need to make up a requirement for you, and we need to make sure you line up with some sort of something the county has created, versus saying you can keep going forward in this role because it's working
So,
as it's been.
John, off the top of my head, and my immediate, I guess what I envisioned in response to your question was that person who had been hired by the supervisor at $28,000 a year as confidential secretary would then be hired also as a part-time administrative assistant to the town manager. It doesn't sound like that's what Jared or Lindsay had envisioned. So honestly, I don't know the answer at this point. I don't know what that position would be. If it was a separate position to be hired on, in addition to confidential secretary duties, yes, of course, the town board would have hiring and firing authority for that person for that portion of the job. If that makes sense.
More gray.
Yeah, it's a, at this point, hypothetical.
I think we can only judge it based on what it currently is.
What you have in front of you is.
Current role.
Motion to increase the budget from $1 to $28,000 for a confidential secretary.
Right, so we have a first and second, all in favor?
I,
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay,
Okay, motion carries. Resolution 29, setting a public hearing to adopt a local law to amend town code chapter 22-9.1, short-term rentals and seeker intent to declare lead agency.
so moved.
second,
All right, moved and seconded. Now with discussion and explanation for this, and I want to try to be careful because I don't want to seem like I'm throwing shade on anyone or pointing fingers on anyone. But so the public is aware, and we're aware for the record, we had 4 local laws that we passed last year that were supposed to have been submitted to the county, and these local laws go back to the spring.
is that including the short-term
think it's
rental? It's the
three
next
local
one.
laws.
3? Okay, sorry, 3.
I think
Well-
the short-term rental
You are correct.
has been submitted by your ordinance.
Yeah. I don't
I'm
think
sorry, let
that's-
me pause and go to the next one. I jumped the gun on that. Okay, any discussion on this?
On the short-term rental?
Yes.
No, this is just setting the public hearing, right?
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, sorry about that. All right, so the public hearing for that is set. Now, resolution 2024-30. Setting a public hearing to re-adopt a local law. See, I should have paid attention to the read. A local law to amend town code chapter 220-31 incentive zoning.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, now, everything that I said a minute ago pertains to these next 2 laws on here, and again, not to throw shade on anyone, because things like this happen. But we had these local laws that prior to our approval had to be approved by the county planning board. They were not sent to the planning board for approval. Our attorney, Mr. Nadler, pointed that out to us. He was like, I think, was it Sarah who found, Sarah found as well, and it's like, wait a minute, what's going on?
Brought this to us.
Sarah found it, brought it to our attorney who said, wait a minute, we gotta fix this. And we might think and say, well, why not just roll it over and just move along with it? What's done is done. If we did not re-adopt the local law and set a new public hearing for these local laws, and we move forward with this, with incentive zoning or any of these others, any place within the town that we followed these local laws, somebody could file a lawsuit against us, and technically, I mean, worst case scenario, we could be required to remove or change, or we'd be, there'd be a lot of financial loss for us and for others, and it would open ourselves up for lawsuits. So,
do we know why they didn't get filed with the town?
I don't know.
so,
I think, I do know that I've talked to the town planner, or town planner about it, and he's aware of the obligation, or staff is aware of the obligation. and issue
No.
ever again.
and she was frustrated that it did not have to, your eye roll makes me, I chose a softer word, but she was not happy to have this. And this was not, at the time, this was not her responsibility, and it does not fall on her for any of this. We're grateful that she found it and that
No,
we're
I'm glad
fixing
she
it.
found it. I'm just wondering where the
Yeah.
responsibility does fall, because it's kind of a big boo-boo.
Yeah,
But we can correct it.
we can correct it and we can move forward, and I bet we're not gonna have this issue going forward. All right, so all in favor of setting a public hearing?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carries. Resolution number 31. Setting a public hearing to re-adopt a local law to amend town code chapter 220-33.2, agricultural protection overlay district.
So moved.
Second, give that one to Dave.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Resolution 2024-32, setting a public hearing to re-adopt a local law to amend town code chapter 220-33.1, scenic view shed overlay.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, John, have a second. You're a little late. So moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carries.
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes,
sorry to keep talking, but I think it's important that I put on the record that I suggested, advised this board to re-adopt these. I have informed or have directed, suggested to the town development office staff that these are still local laws that are the town code of the town of Canandaigua. They have a potential jurisdictional defect if challenged. It's different than being wrong.
Right.
As town attorney, I'm obligated to make my best efforts to prevent the town from acting illegally. It is not illegal to have these on the books and to continue enforcing them as if they
Right.
are what they are, local laws in effect in the town of Canandaigua. And what we're doing here is cautionary step to correct a potential jurisdictional defect. So if somebody applies for a permit in the scenic view shed overlay district, they will be subject to the scenic view shed.
In the meantime.
In the meantime.
Right, thank you for clarifying that. All right, resolution number 33, appointment of motor equipment operator.
Second.
Moving seconded, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Resolution 34, appointment of motor equipment operator.
Second.
Moving seconded, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. So Jim, where does this put us?
This time we're fully staffed.
Okay,
Nice.
right,
Way to start off the year.
I just knocked down some synthetic wood. All right, and did our actions, and we saw the email, the message that Chris sent out, but do you think our actions prior month made a difference?
I do, because the fact that not only with other municipalities, but other employers who are offering similar rate of pay. And
With sign-on bonuses.
this.
Yeah.
And some are offering better benefits as far as healthcare goes. So, but
We're offering better packages.
This is the chosen side.
We're offering better people.
Jim is the chosen
We
highway
do offer better
superintendent.
environment.
Yeah, we're offering a better gym. Nobody else has a gym. We're the only ones with a gym.
this is true.
Is gymnasium.
All right, resolution number 35, appointment of office specialist 1.
This one's for Rita.
The last, for those of you who might not know, for you, the last one resigned before we could appoint
They jumped up before they
said
adopted
person.
it.
All right, so who moved that?
I did.
All right, second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Where is she's gonna be working in the development office?
She started today. She
Okay.
had her first day, so she'll be the face of the development office.
Thank you.
All right, resolution number 36, 180-day extension for preliminary site plan approval associated with pending MUO rezoning application for 2625 County Road 22. Which is tax map 71.00-1-21-141.
So moved.
Second.
Moving seconded, any discussion?
Yeah, I was talking to Sarah today about this. This, actually, they've gotten preliminary approval already. So do they need the 180-day extension? I mean, not gonna hurt anything, but they have preliminary approval.
Right.
So once you're into that, that step,
Right.
accomplish that. I don't know if it's necessary, I mean, we can do it.
We can do it, and I
It's
think,
just a question.
right, and she, I mean, she brought it forward, so there must have been something that she saw that might have triggered that.
This was, if I'm remembering it correctly, I believe this was Lance Brayman was trying to make sure the system staff put this forward. I'm looking, I think you need final approval within 180 days, is I think why. Sarah, Lance and I had an email conversation about this and decided it was best to put it on.
Sarah, I don't know that Sarah would agree with that statement. I mean, she said, you know, why is it on there? That was her question.
Different, wait. No, that's different. Application.
Huh?
That was Sunset. Whatever.
No, this is the sports complex.
On Hannah Road, or
I
what,
think
not,
that, I think her
Yeah.
question was directed
Crossroads.
about Sunset Ridge, not about this.
No, well, this, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
it's not gonna hurt by doing that.
Yeah,
I would
No,
suggest.
I just,
Okay,
I wanted to ask Chris that, I mean, since they've gotten preliminary approval, if we didn't give them a 180-day extension and their original 6-month thing ran out, wouldn't matter, would it? Because they've already,
I'm gonna check right now.
I think if there was a question on it, it's probably better to err on the side of letting them have it as
Yeah.
opposed to
no problem doing it.
pulling it.
Well, I think you're absolutely correct, Terry. But we're confident that they have preliminary site plan approval.
Sure, well. Sarah said they did, so I'll take that as a, I think she would know whether it's done at the last meeting.
Yeah, well, I guess I don't remember this one as well as I should. So I would suggest you.
Yeah, we should go ahead.
Let's just adopt
Yeah,
it.
let's
But
just
you may
adopt
very
it.
well be right, Terry, that when they do the point, I'll take a look at it.
I just wanted to bring this one up.
Yeah.
okay, thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Resolution number 37, accepting proposal for professional recruitment services for the town manager vacancy.
So moved.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? We have some blanks, so we will need to have some discussion on this.
As you're aware, without significant procedural revision, you can't hire $38,000. You can't make this motion in favor of the $38,000 applicant.
Okay,
Because they exceed the threshold for quote procurement. And you'd have to reissue a request for proposals as opposed to request for proposals. We do two.
Swiftwater strategy and Academic.
What?
The two options that,
that we can discuss are Swiftwater and
Swiftwater,
academic.
academic. Cause the other one's too far,
Correct.
unless you like spending 3 times as much.
Well, looking at the two, I myself, academic partners, seem to have more experience, and the guy that operates his business does this stuff for a living. He is a manager, an administrative manager, so my opinion is we go with them. The other guys, the only other one that was under 20,000 was Swiftwater, which is associated with MRB. And they said we were pleased to submit our qualifications to the city of Canandaigua. Well, we can't even get the town of Canandaigua versus the city, right? So, you know, just throwing a little stone at MRB.
Being stone at them.
I don't know if Greg's still listening.
No, we lost Greg. We lost Greg at the
Should
lot.
have looked up there first.
Yeah,
there for a while.
he was there for a while. He put up a
I mean,
good fight.
they seem to have some experience, but in one of their, page 2 of their statement of qualifications, they talk about they've worked on several executive searches seamlessly. Several is me 3, although they do outline more than 3, but
They seem to have a lot of experience in the South,
yeah.
South Carolina.
I was in the pandemic, what's his name, Ian Coyle. And he's in Livingston County, he's familiar with New York State rules, laws, regulations, all that kind of stuff. Been doing this for quite a while. From a member of the ICMA. To me, that's the guy. Plus, he was very succinct. These others are very weighty, you know, the packages.
So one thought that I had, and it's just different than where you were going with what you shared, Terry, I appreciate what you shared. As I was looking at it and I was thinking price difference, you know, aside. We have Pracademics, which is one person. He's kind of a one-man show, one human show. Doing it by himself. The others, we have a firm to pull from, so there are other areas that they could contribute to. And other resources that they might have, other bodies, other people who can work and put in it that you might not have. Sure. I mean, I will argue with you that they should have made sure not to say city instead of, you know, they should have had town. But they did have town there at one point, so they did know what they were saying. So because of the breadth of the deeper bench that they have, and yes, their experiences in the south, they did have some experience up here. Perry, which is one that we're very familiar with. They do have people who had administrative experience in a diverse area, multiple levels. So because of the breadth, I think that one breadth of the bench that they can pull from.
Well, Ian is recruited for dozens of managerial positions in county government. I would argue that he's got more direct experience with New York State. Sure, Matt Horn is involved with this, but again, you're going back to MRB. Which is a division of MRB and their experiences in the South. Our rules here are quite different. Matt knows the rules certainly, but how involved Matt is and all that, I don't know.
What's the price again?
Pracademics is 18,000. The only additional cost with that would be advertising on ICMA if the town wishes to do that. Swiftwater Strategies is 19,700.
750.
They're about the same.
Yeah.
So very close, similar in price.
Almost like they moved at $20,000.
I liked the other one actually, but it was just so far out on the cost that I
Oh,
was.
but yeah,
That's like a Cadillac.
That was, yes.
Well, they're
I
far off geographically too.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing though, to get somebody with a outsider's view of things and see what, you know. I don't know. I go back and forth on the other two very much.
So do I. The only thing I do like the New York State experience that whatever this
Ian,
academic has. I wish that Swiftwater had more than one New York State example in their flyer.
I know that Chris is talking to Lindsay.
Sorry.
Lindsay, can I hear your opinion on this? I mean, I wanted you to be part of this search process too, so.
I see nothing wrong with going with Dr. Ian Boyle's academics option, just with the lengthy experience, and yes, he's an individual. But it looks like he gears his search and tailors it towards whatever municipality and what they're looking for versus someone like Swiftwater, who, yes, they have more, you know, resources and people. I feel as though just based on what I'm looking at with the quotes, it would be more individualized going with Dr. Boyle's academics.
Who's been in business longer?
I think Swiftwater sounds like it's pretty new.
Yeah. I mean, he's been doing it a while.
Jim, did you have a thought on it? Because we wanted you as part of this process too.
I just like the idea of just thinking outside of maybe New York a little bit when it came to Swiftwater versus. You know,
Did like or did not like, and I missed.
I didn't use one or any of them, I just like the fact. that they
But
were
Sid, you like the idea that they're wider.
Wider net.
You preferred Swiftwater Shiny?
I just want to have a wider net.
Okay.
I don't really think there's a bad
I don't think there's a
decision
bad
here, and I think
decision.
that's a really great place for us
Right.
to be. It's really going to be what the board is looking for in a recruitment agency or entity.
But, you know,
procurement policy says shall unless, read it to you. Let me just make sure you're. Alright. Shall hire the lowest responsible bidder unless the proposed, not bidder, but quoter justifies and the town board adopts that it will be more beneficial to the town and its taxpayers.
Wouldn't the,
The town and its taxpayers.
with the advertisement and the ICMA, aren't they pretty much equivalent? If that's something I assume we would choose to do that, so. Doesn't that make their prices?
Do we know the
fairly-
cost of advertising? You think it could possibly be $1,700?
Yeah,
Well,
that's
if it
what I'm
says-
saying, they're
Right
probably,
around
I think they're probably pretty equivalent on price,
Mm-hmm.
when it's all said and done. So.
But if what you're saying is that you could go with a higher bidder, then I would think that any additional cost that one of these others wouldn't be stepping outside the law.
Well, let's put it up there.
So Swiftwater is
Rather than my
including that
interpretation of
advertisement,
it.
Lindsay?
Why don't you,
Swiftwater is including that advertisement in their proposal?
Yeah, I'll look for the first place. There's reimbursable expenses with Swiftwater if you wanted to fly people in.
which doesn't count towards the, that was what Lindsay was asking. Was, is it a problem that there's reimbursable expenses that tip that are over $20,000? Those don't count. Towards the bid. Right.
I mean, I think we shouldn't let that shall and the dollar amount affect us, because,
They're pretty.
I mean, if you
Pretty
look
equivalent.
if you look at number 7. Except when directed by the town board, no solicitations of written proposals or quotations shall be required under the following circumstances. And it says acquisition of professional services. You just said think, so that means you're not 100%. But then number 10, we reserve the right to reject any and all bids.
So,
And it's at our best discretion,
Well,
when in the best interest of the town.
while he's looking it up, I've heard Lindsay on one place, I've heard Jim on another place, I've heard Terry on one place, you on another place.
John, any thoughts?
Dave and I seem to be in the middle. I'm wondering what, if John has a thought.
I do think that the advertisement in IMCA or any place else is a reimbursable to Swiftwater. It does say that booking flights, accommodations for candidates, advertisements, which I assume that advertising in the IMCA would be. So I'm very comfortable with Pracademic. I think that he has the practical experience being in municipal government, as well as having the practical experience doing solicitations for candidates throughout New York State. And I think Swiftwater, I don't know if they really have that experience locally and in New York. It seems like the way they tried to strengthen their resume and their proposal was to bring in somebody from an outside the geographic area to supplement their resume. And at the end of the day, how much are we really going to see that person? So my vote is for Pracademic.
Dave, I wanted to clarify too, so with the advertising at Swiftwater, all it says in here is that they use their networks and partner organizations.
So they're not
That's spelled
specific
out.
to,
I see.
yeah, so we might hit that charge there too as well,
Potentially,
yeah.
but again, I believe that is if the town board wishes to do that, that would be like an a la carte type,
Mhm.
that's what I'm gathering.
I think you're absolutely right.
there's your procurement policy.
But it's academic if we go with academic.
Thank
You did that on purpose.
Thank you, Dan. That really.
All right, so we have,
I think, I mean,
we have two for academic,
I guess,
all we need is one more and then we can call.
I was gonna
for a
say, I
vote.
guess I'd lean with Terry and John on academic. I like the guy's experience and. I mean, I know they both feel strongly about it. I know Lindsay feels strongly about it, so. Lindsay knows a lot more about this than I do. So that has a lot of weight to me as well, so I guess that's I'm sorry.
Yeah, the one with the most HR experience here in the room is her.
Yeah, that's fine.
Almost 15 years.
I guess this whole conversation begs the question whether we truly think we're gonna go and hire a town manager, or whether we're gonna go and move forward with you as fulfilling those responsibilities, Jared. And if we're gonna move forward with you fulfilling those responsibilities, and nobody wanted to put interim in there, so sure it appears to me that we don't wanna do it. Why are we gonna throw 20 grand of taxpayers' money away?
I don't think it's saying that nobody wants to hire a manager. I think people are saying, we've got to look and see and bring and find that right person and see what their strengths are and what their, what their roles would be. The former position, I mean, there was no search for it, there were no interviews for it, it was created. Somebody was put in who kept having more and more and more stuff piled on them. I don't think that's a healthy way. I think this is a chance for us to look and have those open discussions for that person, the people, the candidates that we bring in. So I don't think any door is being shut. And I don't think there's anybody sitting at this table who would say that we don't need somebody in that role. But, I wish this had been done years ago. To have a search and bring in, just to have that broad base and that open public discussion.
I'm excited to work with an outside
Yeah.
firm that can kind of analyze what we're doing, what's been working, and I'm personally excited to work with a new town manager that works cooperatively with our entire town board. I think that's I'm excited to see who we can find for this role, so. And I hope that whoever we're picking in this process really helps us in that consideration of choices that we're making and that we're making them intentionally instead of in a need-based emergency decision.
And I also think too that we need to understand that if somebody says no to a candidate or to candidates, it doesn't mean they're being obstructionist. I think we need to realize that we need to find the right person. We don't need to find the fastest person. We need to find the right person to do this. And I just have to say that I have to side with my friend Jim, even though he doesn't have a vote, because I feel bad for him. Because the Steelers are gonna lose on Sunday.
They sure are.
And I'm sad about that for him. So I will be in his corner. I had to get something in, come on.
Parting shot.
Okay, so I think we have enough. So would somebody like to motion?
I'd like to motion that we use Pracademic Partners
Second,
Okay,
for this.
moved and seconded.
Let's just make sure where's the town's.
Los Bolitos.
We are the
Pracademic
lowest.
Partners.
That is the lowest.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
With the relevant information filled in as your motion,
Yeah,
right?
Pracademic
Which quotes?
18,000.
quoted
How much, Jerry?
18,000,
18,000?
and then Pracademic.
Good.
And then the amount of 18,000. And then we can decrease and increase 18,000.
Okay.
So can I get a second for that
I
motion?
did.
Oh, good, Terry did.
So, all right, so yep, I have Fenelon.
So what's the motion exactly?
So let me-
I'm just filling in these
Thirty-
with
30
Pracademic
people in it.
18, Pracademic 18, 18, and 18 on all the holes, so. We can give it to you.
Let us know when you're ready.
I am.
You're done?
I'm so
Wait.
sorry, Jared, there was a comment from the chat regarding. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter.
can't read that. Is that?
Pat Brewer.
Oh, that's
Go back to
better.
SGR and ask them to requote. They can lean out their proposal.
She votes in.
No, she didn't like it. Oh, she doesn't.
Okay.
Sorry, I just wanna make sure that-
No, thank you.
Thank you for
And
sharing.
once I couldn't read it and then these things came on, it's like, whoa,
Magical.
you must have cleaned up the screen for me. Okay, so there's a motion on the table for academics. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. So it's 4-1, and the motion carries, and we're hiring for academics.
Reach out to them and.
Yep.
Oh. Reach out to them.
It's already.
It doesn't say, but we'll reach out. We'll talk tomorrow morning, reach out to them. All right, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from November 20th and December 8th?
Move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Any other business to come to the board at this time?
So we have Jim Fletcher's
Yes.
issue with the.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, John. Sorry, Jim.
Alright.
I had it off to the side and. All right, so we have a hand carried resolution due to an emergency situation at the fire station in the town of Canandaigua. And this would be resolution number 38. The roof is in serious need of repair. We have been trying to patch the roof and fix the leaks to remediate issues on the inside of the fire hall. And every time the roof is patched, a new leak pops up. And because a new leak pops up, we have issues of, we have water issues, we have damage, things that need to be fixed to make it a healthy, effective environment for the firefighters. So Jim, do you have any? Actually, can I get a let's motion it and then we'll discuss.
So move.
Okay, Terry and
Seconded.
John. All right, so Jim, do you want to explain, do you have any input or thoughts on this?
LRB review the information, under the warranty, the membrane, substrate, type of glue is being used for cold weather application, and all that is included in the quote from Spring Metal Roofing, and also meets everything that we're looking for to give us a 30-year roof on this building.
Any other questions?
Yeah, did we get multiple bids on this?
I didn't have multiple bids, I did not, if we're gonna do multiple bids, then we'll go out for bid, John.
Yeah, but couldn't we have gone out and just asked Elmer W. Davis just to quote it as quickly as we did with E.G. Snyder or anybody else like that?
We could have, but I didn't, so if that's what the board likes to do, we'll go off proposal for bids.
I'd prefer to see
Whatever the
another,
board wants to do.
I'd prefer to see us get another quote, just is it 239 or is it really the right number should be 189 or is it 289? I mean, without having some numbers to compare to, we really don't know whether we're getting fair value or not. That's my
So
recommendation.
whatever be about the square footage cost, it's comparable to other bids that are out there today. It wasn't more or less, but
Maybe, maybe not, you know, that's, I mean, that's why we have competitive bidding. And I'm not saying that it's not an emergency, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't jump on it immediately, but I think that for all the time we've taken just getting one quote, we should have gotten more than one. And I think we should still do that, just as part of our due diligence and our responsibility to our constituents.
How long would it take to get another quote back, do you think?
2 weeks, this is out there, do the measurement, look it out, so on and so forth.
So it could be returned by 31st,
Try to
31st.
Maybe at the end of the month.
Okay, so we could get it by the 31st to approve?
Can I
Because
ask
Damage
Amanda
will
a
be
question?
done.
Yeah,
Wasn't there a
by then.
potential legal issue with this roof replacement?
Oh, we have Pesh involved and because of the union had agreements, so Pesh came out and this was started the whole thing, so.
Pesh,
It's like,
Yeah. So yes, there are a couple issues.
Yeah.
You know, there's mold issues, my understanding caused the, you know, conditions for the fire workers, firefighters, and then water damage and the mold and the ongoing nature of this, that's causing, as we put in the resolution, ongoing interference with fire operations or the potential thereof.
It's dangerous.
Is it patched for now?
no,
No.
we've got patch, it's right, it's still leaking.
So quick straw poll, Terry, you said you're okay moving forward?
Yeah.
I'm okay moving forward.
I would approve it because of the emergency situation we're in.
I agree with that line. I think the situation is a little rough, so not move on it as fast as possible.
And John, you want the other quote?
I'd like to have another quote or two.
I mean, for me, it was important that you talked to MRB about it, because I was gonna ask Greg if he was still here, if that was in line with what they're seeing, and if you're saying that that's in line with what they're seeing in an emergency situation, that's good enough for me, so.
But I'll get back on the month.
No, I mean, we can, I think we have enough to vote on that.
Before you vote, I'd ask that you all affirm for the record that you have no conflicts of interest on this matter.
Since
including
it's
your
a significant-
superintendent.
It's a significant
Well,
conflict.
because you're deviating from your competitive
Normal
bidding
Right.
process. It's not actually a requirement
It's
in law. but
it's
it
because it's
seems
a
like
state of emergency, right, because it's an emergency, so. First of all, can each board, let's go down, roll call, starting with Jim, that you can affirm, just with a yes or no, that you have no conflict of interest?
No conflict.
I have no conflict.
I have no conflict,
No conflict.
No conflict.
okay, so all, is that,
I think that's great.
okay, all in favor of resolution number 38? Aye, opposed?
Resolution 38 is the hiring of Spring Sheet Metal.
It's
Yeah.
paying $239 to them.
Yes,
Right?
John.
Yes,
You're opposed.
okay. All right, so 4-1, that resolution carries.
So Jim and I will prepare a contract. Right, Jim? And it's gonna include, just so mention this before we call them tomorrow, you know, they're gonna have to provide insurance to the town's requirements, that kind of stuff.
Still got insurance.
Okay.
This week back to Paradise, I don't just any asbestos, probably just do the check.
This doesn't include asbestos if there was some, right?
It's gonna go well.
It's 9, we should, don't say that word, we should be fine, because it's 9, it's mid-90s, early 90s.
92.
Oh, yeah, okay, there's no other business to come forward. Okay, so, we have one final privilege of the floor, is anyone who would like to be heard?
Yeah, you sure?
What'd you think?
All right, the nature of the executive
Well put.
session,
Yes, we did. We did vote on the minute.
Yes, we did.
5-0,
Yep.
Fennelly and Rudolph.
The nature is to discuss current or pending litigation, and I would like myself and the town board to be present.
Okay. Do you anticipate asking us for any action after?
No.
Okay,
Addie, you have to go hang in the hall.
Can I get a motion?
Oh, I got.
Litigations.
Current pending litigation,
Litigation.
Oh.
Yep.
it's a 280.
No, it's abandonment.
Can you give this
Oh, yeah.
It's Paul, Paul.
And then,
All right, can I get a motion to enter executive session?
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everyone.